Okay.
You are listening to WPHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk radio.
This is Ghost Talk with 187 PI. Sit back and prepare yourselves for an adventure into the paranormal world with host Shelly Robertson and 187 PI research team. Ghost Talk is broadcasting live from Ohio's most haunted jail. Learn about their ongoing research at the jail and abroad, investigation techniques, and their personal encounters. Here is your host of Ghost Talk and 187 PI founder, Shelly Robertson.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ghost Talk Radio. With me as your host, Shelly Robertson. I have an interesting show planned for you all tonight. And tonight, I'm going to be talking about the history of St. Patrick's Day and hauntings that surround it. I want to invite everyone to join me in chat at wbhm-db.com, where you can ask me any questions you may have or share any stories of your own St. Patrick's Day hauntings. Now, I'll tell you, with St. Patrick's Day, also known as Feast of St. Patrick, being in just 2 days, March 17th, I thought it would be quite fitting to talk about this holiday. Many people celebrate St. Patrick's Day by going out to dinner, gathering with friends and family, and we can't forget the iconic green beer that is served everywhere on St. Patrick's Day. Ironically, here's a little tidbit. I've never tasted the green beer, but I know they just color it with food coloring. But do we know what the actual history of St. Patrick's Day is? And how did this all come about? Well, if some of you don't know, I'm going to help explain some of it tonight. I mean, there's a lot of story, but I'm going to condense it a little bit. St. Patrick obviously was a real person. While he was not born in Ireland, he was born in Roman Britain on about 385 AD. So that's a long, long time ago. He became a Christian missionary and a bishop in Ireland. He was actually born into a wealthy Romano-British family. His father was a deacon and his grandfather was a priest in the Christian church. Now, according to the Declaration, which was written by Patrick himself, he was kidnapped when he was 16 years old by Irish raiders and taken slave to Gaelic Island. Now, this is where he would spend like the next 6 years working as a shepherd. Now, it was during this time that he also found God. In the Declaration, he also wrote that it was God that told him to flee to the coast where a ship would be waiting for him to take him home. So, after Patrick made his way back home, he became a priest. It was later that Patrick returned to Ireland to convert the pagan Irish to Christianity. Patrick ended up converting thousands of people. Now, according to popular legend, St. Patrick supposedly rid Ireland of snakes. Now, the snakes were an example of, they were actually the Druids, and the pagan worshippers. That's what the snakes were supposedly referred to. Now, once he did this and he banished all these people, of course, he became the patron saint of Ireland. It is believed that St. Patrick died 461 AD. So that's a heck of a long time ago. And following his death, Christians began celebrating St. Patrick's Day during the Christian season of Lent on the anniversary of St. Patrick's death, which it was also March 17th. And of course, we all know that green is associated with St. Patrick as well as the shamrock. The three-leaf shamrock specifically. It is said, according to legend, that St. Patrick used the three-leaf shamrock to explain the Holy Trinity, which of course you all know is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. He used this shamrock to explain this Trinity to the Irish pagans. Now in 1903, so we're skipping a whole bunch of years. In 1903, St. Patrick's Day became an official public holiday in Ireland. In 1916, the Irish volunteers held the parade throughout Ireland. It is said that on this day, there were 38 parades going on throughout Ireland. And in the mid-1990s, the government of the Republic of Ireland began a campaign to use St. Patrick's Day to showcase Ireland and its culture. So that's kind of how it came about. And Ireland picked up on it to show us all about their lovely country. And of course, not only is St. Patrick's Day popular and celebrated in Ireland, it's also pretty popular and celebrated in many other countries as well. For example, in England, I found this so interesting. The British royals traditionally present bowls of shamrock to members of the Irish Guards, a regiment in the British Army that was following Queen Alexandria. She introduced this tradition in 1901. Fresh shamrocks are presented to the Irish Guards regardless of where they are stationed. Doesn't matter. And they are flown in from Ireland. And now, these days, the younger British royals, like, Kate, and I soon believe Meghan Markle will probably be partaking in the traditions. They will be handing out the shamrocks to the guards. Now, Birmingham, London, Liverpool, and Manchester all hold St. Patrick's Day parades as well, not just only London. There are even parades and celebrations in Russia, Bosnia, Scotland, and even Japan, Korea, and Malaysia. All those countries holding celebrations, parades, festival for St. Patrick's Day. One of the longest running, it's one of them, and one of the largest St. Patrick's Day parades in North America occur each year in Montreal, Canada, whose city flag includes a shamrock in its lower right quadrant. The parade has been held yearly without interruption since 1824. Patrick's Day itself, however, has been celebrated in Montreal since as far back as 1759 by the Irish soldiers. So that's a long time. Here in the United States, and you all are pretty familiar with some of the celebrations and parties, but St. Patrick's Day, while it's not a legal holiday, it's widely recognized and observed throughout our country as a celebration of Irish and Irish American culture. Celebrations include prominent displays of the color green, religious observances, numerous parades, and the consumption of large amounts of alcohol. Lots of green beer, folks. Actually, and this is pretty amazing, the first parade held to honor St. Patrick's Day took place not in Ireland, but here in the United States on March 17, 1762. Irish soldiers serving in the English military marched through New York City. The holiday had been celebrated in North America since the late 18th century. Now, from this time period, over the next 35 years, Irish patriotism among American immigrants, they have flourished, and it became more popular, and it promoted the rise of so-called Irish aid societies. In 1948, several New York Irish aid societies decided to unite their parades to form one official New York City St. Patrick's Day parade. Today, that parade is the world's oldest civilian parade and the largest in the United States, with over 100,000 participants. That's a lot. Each year, nearly 3 million people line the mile-and-a-half parade route to watch the procession. And this parade takes more than 5 hours. So to me, that's a very, very amazing, and I'm sure it's quite an event to attend. And maybe one day I will make it there. Now, we talked a little bit about the history of St. Patrick's Day. Now I want to get into some of the haunting legends and lore surrounding this holiday. Of course, while St. Patrick's Day originated as somewhat of a religious holiday and celebration, promoting Christianity, honoring a patron saint of Ireland, not only all these things that surround St. Patrick's Day on March 17th is godly or happy celebrations. There's lots of horrific and tragic events that have also taken place on St. Patrick's Day. As we have all found that many times hauntings surround horrific and tragic events such as murders, accidents, and untimely deaths all make for perfect scenarios of a haunting. So, now let's examine and talk about some of these tragic events and their hauntings. The first one takes us to Algiers, Louisiana. It was in the early morning hours of March 17th when a man by the name of Bill would be a victim of a shooting. Shortly thereafter, Bill would be found unresponsive, lying face up in a parking lot of the Cable Village strip mall. A man by the name of Curtis was apprehended, charged, and convicted of killing Bill, who was a father of 3 with another baby on the way. There have been reports following this tragic event of phantom gunshots being heard in the area where this horrific crime took place. There have also been reports of strange little balls of light appearing where Bill's body had been found. Such a tragedy, and I am so sorry for the family's loss. This next case, it takes us to Bainbridge Island in Kitsap County, Washington, where on Friday, March 17th, 1989, 3 people consisting of 2 men and a woman, and their names were J.D., Ty, and Anne Marie. They would be victims of a robbery, after which all 3 would be murdered. There was